Hello, hello everyone. This is Christine Bertram coming to you from the Cards by Christine studio here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Today I have a beautiful card that uses the Painted Harvest bundle. It comes with a set of stamps and a leaf punch, and we are making this adorable, cute, fascinating, all the above sunflower card. And it says, "I am thankful for you," and on the inside it says, "Your kindness means so much more than you will ever know." So it looks kind of like a complicated card because there's a lot of steps, but once we get rolling with it, it'll all come together and you'll be like, wow, that is a super simple card. So what we're going to do first is we are going to grab all of our materials in here. The colors that we're using for this card are Early Espresso, and this is your traditional mat that is cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and it is scored at 4 1/4. And what we're going to do is just fold that in half. And I'm looking for my bone folder, which I just found. So we're going to just fold that in half on the score line. You don't have to score the paper necessarily when the paper is cut in half at that type. But if you score it, it makes it like a really nice, good, crisp score line. So we have our card base done here. So that is just a traditional card base. Then what we have is a piece of crumb cake. This crumb cake measures 5 1/4 by 4, which is a traditional mat that will give you 1/8 of an inch all the way around your card here. And what we're doing with this is we are going to be using a background stamp to create a little depth back there. We are bringing in here Gallery Grunge, and Gallery Grunge has this stamp that kind of looks like floorboards, and it kind of looks like wheat to me because of the way it's angled. And what that is going to do is we're just going to put a couple of them behind to give some extra depth for our card. So we are going to be using Sahara Sand ink. This is one of the older style ink pads, so it flips open looser. We're just going to ink up the pad, and we're just going to put one in the top corner and one in the bottom corner. And we're just going to go like that and like that. So that gives us the, a little bit of texture there. If we want to stamp again, that would be considered second strength. You can go ahead and put another little one there and on the bottom here if you want. It just gives it a softness to it. So that is Sahara Sand, and using the Gallery Grunge floorboard look stamp here. And so we're done with that one for now. There's nothing else that has to be adhered to the back side of that. So we can go ahead and use our liquid glue. I just put a thin layer around the outside and a slash through the middle. Less is best with liquid glue. You don't want it oozing out the sides. If it does that, then you have a little sticky mess that comes out. So what's nice about liquid glue is that you have a little bit of wiggle room. So you can see I'm kind of moving this till I get it exactly where I want it. Once that's on, we can go ahead and set that card base off to the side. And what we're going to work on next is our sunflower. So I have a piece of Very Vanilla here. It's just kind of like a scrap. We've already made some cards with the sunflower, and that has been used over here. And what we're going to do is stamp our sunflower. We are bringing in, what are we going to bring in? It's a new color called Mango Melody. And with this Painted Harvest, there are two sunflower images, a less defined one and a more defined one. And we're going to use our lighter color on the less defined one, which is the new style of stamp case here. It's like a compact. You kind of just flip it over and push it away from you, and then it slides like that. All right, so we're just going to take and ink that up a little bit. These pads are pretty juicy. You don't need to squish very hard. All right. So we've got that first one done, and I always like to shut my ink pads as soon as I'm done with them. So that stamp is done. Now we're bringing in some pumpkin pie. It is the season for pumpkin pie. So we're going to ink up that more defined one, and these have a pattern to them here. It's got like a little more oblongness over here, and there's a certain way that the stamp set fits to make it kind of match. So you just kind of keep tilting this until you get it to where it lines up the best. All right, so there we have our little bit of pumpkin pie on top of the Mango Melody. And I always stamp off a little bit before I go ahead and use my stamp scrub to clean my stamp. Then we're going to be bringing in the middle part. This middle part has the circle that fits in here kind of a certain way as well. And then there's these little dots. and that gives looks like there's little seeds. So we're gonna just use a little bit of soft suede for that, and this kind of stamps right in the middle. And if you get it off a little bit, that's no big deal. Just go at second strength and just move over a hair and you get a little bit of that two-tone look going, which is quite all right. All right, now we're gonna, oops, dropped one on the floor. Company's coming. All right, now we're just gonna fill this in with a little bit of the seeds. All right. So that's pretty much how we make a sunflower. You always want to use like 2 different colors for that. I mean, it looks okay if you do use the same color. Using first and second strength would work as well. Like if you use second strength on this one and first strength on this one, that would look cool as well. All right, so what we have here is a sunburst punch. And we just flip the lever here, which opens up our punch. And we put the paper through the top here. And we just line this up so we have our sunflower right in the middle, and we squeeze the punch at the bottom. So that's garbage, so I'm going to throw that away, and to shut it, you just squeeze it shut and then slide the lever down. All right, so that was the sunburst punch. So now we've got that ready to go for on our card base. Now we also need to make some leaves. So that punch is part of this. It was offered as a bundle in the first catalog it was offered in, but it isn't a bundle any longer. But both items are still available that you can get them. So what you're gonna do is, this is garden green paper. You can use up scraps. I just cut a rectangle here so I could get 3 leaves out of there. I'm not gonna use that for anything else, so I'm just gonna throw that away, but the punch just squeezes shut, and then you're done with that one. So now you've got your 3 leaves. So we'll set them over here. Got a couple other things that we need to get ready to build this card. We are going to be using a framelit set that's called Stitched Labels. It has a different corresponding stamp set that it's offered with, but we really liked the detailed look that you get with this label. So what I have is a piece of espresso, early espresso. I'm going to be pulling out my Big Shot, and we're going to cut that. But before we cut that, we have another thing that we need to get ready for, and it's the I Am Thankful for You. So before we go cut that, we're going to stamp this so that we can cut both of them at the same time. So the color that we're bringing in here is Early Espresso. Don't you love how Stampin' Up's products all match and coordinate so nicely together? From paper to ink to embellishments to ribbon. Oh, it's so easy for you to be crafty and make something that coordinates. So we're just going to stamp I Am Thankful for You around in that top area. You can see on the card that I have, it's kind of closer to the top right hand side, and there's a little bit more space for the sunflower to overlap. All right, so as long as we have the Early Espresso ink open, we might as well stamp the other thing that was in ink, which was the sentiment. So your kindness means so much to me. So you're gonna laugh, because if you come to any of my classes in person, I always tell you that you should stamp the inside and decorate your inside to match your outside. And you should do that at the same time, as long as you have all the inks open. Well, what do you think I forgot to do? I forgot to stamp the sunflower in the bottom corner. So you guys, when you're making your card at home, just remember that when you're stamping that sunflower, you should go ahead and make a sunflower in the bottom corner here so that it matches. And while you're at it, you're also able to decorate your envelope if you like your envelope to match. Put a sunflower in that bottom corner. You could put a sunflower right here on the flap. So you can go ahead and do that on your card. But we've got the espresso ink done, so I'm going to set that off to the side. So what we're going to do now is make a little room for our Big Shot. I hope everybody has a Big Shot. If you don't, you're more than welcome to order a Big Shot through me. You're going to wonder why you waited so long. So we have here a magnetic platform. That means that the dies stick to it very nicely. That help hold it in place. We have our bottom plate, which you can see mine is very loved. I use this a lot. I've probably been using these plates for over a year. They last a long time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball this and make sure I get my I Am Thankful for more in the top corner versus here. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot more extra white space or vanilla space here and less down here. Because we have the sunflower down in that bottom corner, I'm going to want that more like that. And that's now where we can bring in our floral frame. If you look at this floral frame, it is very detailed. So when we have more detailed frames like that, I always recommend that you run the Big Shot back and forth. It's called making a round trip. So I'm gonna pull my Big Shot through into the window, and I always make sure that nothing moves on me after I put my top plate, because that hasn't been known to happen. And then we're just gonna make our sandwich here, and I'm gonna roll this through. Now, my round trip, you don't necessarily need to do the round trip for framelets that just have an outer edge to them. That's what we got, that's good. This one, what I like to do though, is just to make sure it cut out really good, or it got all the little detail, I will make sure I go one more time, just doing another round trip. And did you see I turned the die, what is that, 180 degrees or 90 degrees maybe? Yeah, 90 degrees, so that it cuts the paper going a different direction. So now this will pop out, and you can use your pokey tool here. The next time you go to use this die, you're gonna not want these little guys in here. If they're in there, it doesn't cut the paper as good. So it's always good to clean this out right away. There's a die brush too that works really well, but you want to have that cleaned out, and then let's see if all of these guys are out. It looks like they're good. Clean that out. All right, we're just gonna put this into the garbage. All right, so now we've got that cut and we've got that cut. We're gonna bring our card back in so you can see what we're working on. I think we're just about ready to assemble this card. So I don't know if you can see it on the card here, but there's glitter. That's called the Wink Stella glitter brush. I like to Stella things before I assemble, because then you can put it down on this paper and you can end up going over the edge. You don't have to be so careful. So the Stella brush is amazing. It goes over all colors of paper, and it's what we call, one of my customers, Bonnie, refers to it as controlled glitter. You know, the glitter that goes all over the place and is all over your face, that is not controlled glitter. This is controlled, because once it's on there, it's not coming off. It's not rubbing all over the place. The other thing too is I like to decorate, like this flower is going to have some glitter on it. Now you have to be careful with a Stella brush, because that color does get picked up in the bristles or the brush part of this. So I would kind of like wipe that out before I go ahead into the brown color, because they could mix. Okay, so that's the Wink Stella brush. Put that in my toolbox there, or my little caddy. All right, now what we're gonna do is assemble. I have some liquid glue that I will apply to the back of the oval. I don't know if you can see it, but I use a cottage cheese cup here. I ate a lot of cottage cheese for all my customers, so they all have their own at their station when they're working. It fits all your tools in there perfectly, and it helps to keep your multi-glue on its fine tip so that it's always ready for you to use. All right, so we're gonna glue that down. Now this is popped up with dimensionals, so we're gonna go ahead. I love the new mini dimensionals that they came out in this last catalog. I used to get the regular dimensionals and cut them in half. So I love that the mini ones are available now, that I don't have to cut them. All right, so that's ready to go. We can pick the backs off. If you have nails, it really helps to pick them off. The harder you press them down, the easier it is to pick that paper off. So we're just gonna layer this towards the top, half of the card. You always want to make sure that it's on there straight. Use your eyeballs and look at it as best you can. Then the next step here, we've got our sunflower. That also is raised up with dimensionals. So I use about 3 of them on there, and then pick them off right away. And this is kind of be nestled down here underneath the saying over here. Now you're wondering, oh no, you didn't put the leaves on. Well, here's my trick for the leaves. I put a dimensional on the topmost leaf, and I'll pick this off. And because I only used a few dimensionals behind my sunflower, I will be able to nestle these leaves. Forget about putting liquid glue all over this. Forget about making that mess. Use one-dimensional, tuck your leaves underneath there, and you'll be able to put this card together really fast. Now, last but not least, and the absolute most fun part of a card for me, is putting embellishments on it. These are metallic pearls that you can get from me through Stampin' Up, and they come in silver and gold. We're going to be using the gold ones here. So I have my nails, so I can easily pick them up. Some people, like one of my good friends, Gina, who I stamp a lot with, she doesn't have nails, and so she will use her scissors and pick up with her scissors. And there is, let's see if I have it in my toolbox here. There's, oh no I don't, it must be upstairs. I have the new Take Your Pick tool. I'll have to bring that out in one of my next videos so you guys can see what that looks like. But the Take Your Pick tool has it looks just like the end of the piercing tool, and you can use that to pick them up as well. But it's definitely easier to use the scissors or to use your nail. So, voila! We have this. The last thing that you would want to do is glue your inside in here. If you like to stamp the back of your card with your, if you have hand stamped by, definitely put that on the back of your card. So there you go. We've got a beautiful thank you card using the Painted Harvest stamp set and leaf punch. This is Christine with Cards by Christine. You can reach me on my Facebook page, Cards by Christine. My website is www.cardsbycrispy.com. I also will be posting this on my YouTube channel. So I appreciate you hanging out with me, making this beautiful card, and I can't wait to stamp with you again. Thanks, everybody. Bye.